Got a loaded show for everybody on this edition of Warriors Today by Chat Sports. As in my opinion, the Golden State Warriors still have one major issue. We're going to talk about what that issue is on today's show. Also, Draymond Green, is he inserting himself back into the Defensive Player of the Year conversation? He's been playing lights out so far this season. We're going to dive into what Draymond has done for Golden State and how he's contributed to their success on both ends of the floor on today's show. But before we do, guys, we won. The Golden State Warriors won Klay Thompson's return game to the Chase Center, and they're 1-0 in the NBA Cup. So if you're happy that Golden State got that dub and ruined Klay's return to the Chase Center, hit that thumbs up icon on today's video. Like today's video if you're happy that Golden State won that game, and they're also 9-2 now, and we'll get started with today's show. What's going on, Dub Nation? You're watching Warriors Today by Chat Sports. I am your host, Tyler Smith, and the Golden State Warriors have one major issue, in my opinion. And that major issue is when Stephen Curry is not out on the floor for the Golden State Warriors, it is not good news. Golden State struggles. Clearly, this is a tweet from Anthony Slater during the Warriors versus Mavs game just a few nights ago. And this is about in the beginning of the fourth quarter, right? Golden State ends the first quarter with a 6-point lead. They squander that lead in the second quarter and go into the half down 4. Have a pretty good third quarter, much to the benefit of Stephen Curry. Much thanks to Stephen Curry for helping Golden State secure back that lead heading into quarter number 4. And then at the beginning of the fourth quarter, the Golden State starts to squander again. And this is when Anthony Slater puts this tweet out. When he says the Golden State Warriors are now a plus 21 in the 26 Stephen Curry minutes and a minus 20 in the 12 minutes without him. So about 2 minutes into the fourth quarter there, and it's clear that Golden State is not producing and is not as productive without Stephen Curry on the floor. Now, I want to paint a picture, a little bit better of a picture here as to really how much Golden State is depending on Stephen Curry on the offensive end of the floor specifically. Defensively, we know the numbers aren't going to be maybe as good as a whole when Stephen Curry's out there just because, he's not the best on-ball defender, but he more than makes up for that in what he does for you on the offensive side of things. Think about Golden State's offensive numbers as a whole. Points per 100 possessions is how you calculate offensive rating in the NBA. When Stephen Curry is on the court, the Golden State Warriors have a 124.2 offensive rating. That would be the number one offensive rating in the entire NBA. So when Stephen Curry is on the floor, Golden State is the best offensive team in the entire league. When he's off the floor, there is a 10.5 point difference in per 100 possessions when Stephen Curry is off the floor. This puts him about a middle of the pack offensive team. So still not bad, but it's not in the elites. It's not at the top of the league where it needs to be if Golden State wants to win a Western Conference title and potentially an NBA title. Steph's 5th this season. Now, another group of numbers, kind of implementing the defense in here. So overall, what is the Warriors' net output when Stephen Curry is out on the floor? Well, they are 16.6 points better with Stephen Curry out on the floor. When Stephen Curry is not on the floor, Golden State has a net rating of 7.9. So Stephen Curry, overall on the basketball court, contributes 8.7 points more to this team than without him. At the end of the day, that's going to lose you a lot of games. Like, when Stephen Curry is not on the floor, Golden State is 8 points worse. That's not good. That is not going to win you games, and that's not honestly going to compete with some of the best teams in the NBA who have more top-end depth. I'm not saying the Golden State Warriors do not have depth. That is far from the truth. But top-end depth is what is going to win you championships in this league. Think about the Boston Celtics last year. 5 guys who could get buckets at any moment. Think about the Dallas Mavericks who got there. They had 2 guys who could get you buckets at any moment. And most teams who make it all the way to the grand stage of them all, the NBA Finals, they got at least 2 guys who can go get you a bucket at any single point. And that's kind of what the point I'm making here. Clearly, this team lacks the true second scoring punch necessary to have faith in lineups without Stephen Curry. And yeah, I read that off the screen, but it's true at the end of the day. How can I have faith for a long stretch playing against a team like the Dallas Mavericks, per se, who have Luka Doncic, who have Kyrie Irving, who have Klay Thompson, guys who can get buckets at any point, at any time? How can I have faith in playing against teams like that when Stephen Curry is not out on the floor? You lose a lot. Defenses don't have to respect the guys that Golden State has out there. They don't have to double team or blitz certain players. So it just naturally is easier to play one-on-one defense when Stephen Curry is not on the floor if you're Golden State's opponent. They need to look to improve in this regard. They need to somehow, some way, have better second scoring options than they have currently right now. So what do? Do you look for a trade? Is there a trade to make out there right now? Or do you kind of look within and say, hey, these guys on our roster, they need to just play better at the end of the day, right? I mean, I don't really know who's out there to trade for right now for Golden State. Yeah, there's a guy like Jimmy Butler out there. There's a name we'll talk about in just a second that keeps getting floated around, but the options are slim. Golden State might have to look within to get the true output that they're looking for here. And I bring this up again. How many times have I used this list so far, dating back to the offseason? I actually just updated it with the current points per game that each of these players are putting out right now. Buddy Hield is their second leading scorer at 17.6 points a night. Andrew Wiggins and Jonathan Kuminga are tied for third at 14.7 points per night. And Brandon Podziemski, who we all thought would have a massive, massive role increase and a massive uptick in scoring and overall statistical production, he just hasn't been there so far this year. He's averaging less points per game than he was last season. He's shooting worse percentages than he was last season. It's kind of been a pretty lateral year 1 to year 2 jump for Brandon Podziemski. It seems like he's kind of the same player that he was last season. So that's something that, Golden State might be kicking themselves for when, they had an opportunity to trade him for a big-time second scoring option like a Lauri Markkanen. Golden State is going to have to get more out of these guys. I mean, Buddy Hield's your second leading scorer. He comes off the bench. Like, there needs to be more juice in the lineups that include Stephen Curry because, let's be honest, Buddy Hield and Stephen Curry are not always on the floor together. So you don't always have those 2 3-point threats all the time. And, you lose a guy like D'Anthony Melton here for the next couple of games. That's not exactly going to help Golden State's scenario scoring the basketball. He was one of the better scorers on the team, to be honest, from you. So, with that being said, I got to ask you guys, does Golden State need to make a trade for a second score? Let me know down in the comments. This will be the pinned comment on today's show. So, go down below and type Y for yes, type N for no, while YouTube throws you a little ad break right here. I'm trying to hear, from Dub Nation. So, my overall take here is, no, they do not make a trade right now. Okay, so before you guys blast me in the comments, I'm not saying they make a trade right now. It would be silly to do so. Golden State is 9-2. They're firing on all cylinders. They're playing team defense at a really, really elite level. They're getting out in transition. There's no egos. Nobody's necessarily not buying in. Like, everybody seems to be buying in to what Steve Kerr's preaching. Get up a ton of threes, play good defense, and get efficient shots at the rim when the threes aren't falling. Like, everybody has kind of fallen in line with what Golden State wants to do this year. It would be silly to break up that chemistry and what they have going on right now. But let's be honest, there is going to be a time when the shots aren't falling anymore. When the three-pointer's not as hot as it has been so far this season. So there's going to be a conversation potentially closer to February, closer to the trade deadline. This team might have to make a move for a bona fide second scoring option that you can rely on day in and day out. Stephen Curry's already been injured this year. What if he goes down? I know Golden State was already good when he was out before, but they really weren't playing top-end competition. Competition's ramped up. Stephen Curry has answered the call. When he's not on the floor, Golden State just isn't the same team. And a trade target that keeps getting floated out there, I didn't mention his name before because I wanted to leave you guys in a little bit of suspense. Brandon Ingram. It's weird, man. I don't know if Golden State should make a deal for Ingram because he's one of those guys where, one, he enters a free agency this upcoming season. You're going to have to pay him a ton if you're going to give up a good amount to go get him, especially if you're giving up one of the young players in Podziemski or Kuminga. Golden State has already previously said that they wouldn't do that, but you never know. They're both in much different positions than maybe they thought they would be in for the 11 games through the start of the season. So, is New Orleans going to make a deal to send Ingram away to Golden State? I'm not so sure because what does New Orleans really lack right now? They really lack size at that center spot. And Golden State doesn't really have a ton of size to give up themselves. They kind of have that same issue. And that's kind of why Golden State was able to beat the Pelicans in the 2 games that they played against each other because Golden State just was able to outmatch them in the front court and outshoot them beyond the arc. So I don't really think Brandon Ingram is necessarily the biggest option right now, but I keep seeing articles. I keep seeing stuff around him and the buzz to Golden State. So I had to include him here, but I really don't think this trade's going to be made anytime soon. Next, we are going to go over the season that Draymond Green has had so far because I think it's been a really, really good one. And honestly, going under the radar when it comes to the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But first, I got to give a huge shout out to today's sponsor, Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports platform with over 10 million active members. And you can get started today so easy with $50 in your account for free when you place a $5 entry and use our promo code CLNS. Now, you might be asking, Tyler, how do you place an entry? I'll tell you, it's super, super simple. All you guys got to do is pick a lineup of 2 to 6 player stat projections and just pick more or less on those projections, and you watch the winnings roll in. You can win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks on Prize Picks. Here's what I have for tonight's basketball games. The Cup games are going on, so I decided I would get in the mix. Golden State matching up with the Memphis Grizzlies. Give me Andrew Wiggins to get more than 12.5 shots up there. DeAnthony Melton's missing. I think Wiggins is going to have to step up big time. Draymond Green, more than 21.5 points, rebounds, assists. He's been on fire so far this season, so I'm going to keep riding the hot hand in Draymond Green. And Jalen Brunson, he's coming back into his own here for the Knicks, and they have a favorable matchup against the Brooklyn Nets tonight. So give me more than 27.5 points for Jalen Brunson. You can tail my picks. You can fade my picks. Just make sure you go and do it at Prize Picks. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Use that promo code CLNS to get $50 in your account for free when you place your first $5 entry. Prize Picks. Run your game. Defensive Player of the Year. Is he going to do it again? Draymond Green, with the way that he has contributed to this Golden State Warriors team so far this season, he has to be firmly in the Defensive Player of the Year competition. All right, so we know that Draymond Green we know what he's going to do on the offensive end of the floor, and we'll talk about what he does for Golden State a little bit on the offensive floor. He's going to give you about 9 points a game. He's going to dish out 6 to 7 assists a night. But where Draymond Green makes his money and where he provides his most value to Golden State is on the defensive end. And when Klay Thompson comes into the Chase Center, when there's a high-stakes matchup for Draymond Green, I think he played like it was back in 2022 in the NBA Finals. Look at what Draymond was able to do in just the statistical numbers alone. And this doesn't even paint the whole picture as to what Draymond did for Golden State in this ballgame. 7 boards on the night, so controlling possessions and gaining more opportunities for Golden State to get shots up. 3 steals, 2 blocks, 5 stocks in a game, so he's limiting Dallas. He is literally not allowing them to get to the rim, not allowing them to get into their offense. He's always having them uncomfortable, and a plus 20 overall on the game. He was incredibly impactful, and these stats don't even tell the whole story because Draymond made visible plays that anybody could have pointed out and been like, wow, like he is literally making winning plays right now. The big Draymond plays that I want to talk about. The blocked 3, 2 minutes into the ballgame. So this is the tone setter for Draymond Green. Basically 2 minutes into the ballgame. It was early in the first quarter. He blocked a 3-pointer from Najee Marshall. Caught the ricochet as it was going out of bounds. He stayed in bounds. Flipped it up floor to DeAnthony Melton for a fast break layup. Literally by himself turning defense into offense. And keep in mind, he had to sprint to close out on this 3-point attempt. He had to sprint out to Najee Marshall to get a hand on this jumper, and he did so. And honestly, it was a really athletic play from Draymond, which we don't see too often at this point in his career. Deterred and whacked away multiple lobs. One of the biggest ways that Dallas is able to score and exploit people on their offense is Luka Doncic drawing in defenders and then being able to just throw the ball up to one of his big players like Daniel Gafford or Derek Lively down low. Draymond took those away. Draymond was muscling for position and muscling those guys out of the dunker spot where they're able to go out and catch the lobs. When the lobs were thrown up, Draymond was even getting in the mix and smacking them away. Like he was just making life hell for the Dallas Mavericks and really taking them out of the offense that they like to play night in and night out and in the biggest games. And the biggest play of the game, in my opinion, down the stretch, what needs to happen? This happened all night long where Luka would draw the defense in and just dump it off to Daniel Gafford to be the easiest dunk of all time. Draymond recovers and smacks that dunk away. You guys could see it in the stats photo that I put up earlier. Draymond rises up, going 2 hands up vertically with Daniel Gafford and sends his block away. It was a massive momentum shift for Golden State, and it really propelled them on the other end for Stephen Curry to hit that big shot. And Stephen Curry's been thankful of Draymond Green so far this season. He understands that Draymond is raising his level of play comparatively to what we saw it as last year. Here's what Steph had to say on Draymond. He said he's been unreal, truly motivated. He's moving well. He's locked in mentally. He's been the dog that he is and impacted the game on that end of the floor. Today was no different that I've felt all year. All the conversations we had about how we stay mentally locked in and not let the emotions get the best of us, he's been all world defensively. Can Draymond Green potentially win another Defensive Player of the Year? Is this a possibility out there right now? I think it is. I think with the pure winning plays aspect of what he's been able to do for Golden State, I don't see how you cannot have Draymond Green in your conversation. What's interesting to me, though, is that according to some of these sportsbooks, Draymond isn't really in the finalist conversation right now. He's a little bit far down the line. According to DraftKings, here are the Defensive Player of the Year odds, and it's absolutely stupid that Victor Wembanyama is a minus 210 for this award right now. Evan Mobley, the second favorite, is plus 1,000, 10-1 odds when you have 1 to 2.1 odds on Victor Wembanyama. Absolutely ridiculous that he is this heavily favored to win this award. Anthony Davis has also been outstanding defensively so far this year. Bam Adebayo, I don't know why he's ranked above Draymond. Honestly, the Heat have been awful, and Bam has looked clearly regressed so far this year. Shout out Dyson Daniels, honestly, who's having a really good season since being traded over from the Pelicans to the Hawks. And then Draymond, you have him at 30-1, plus 3,000 on DraftKings. So, yeah, let's be honest, his chances aren't great. His chances to win this award are not that good. But you know what? I don't really care. I don't think Draymond Green cares necessarily about awards or hardware. He's got a ton of it in his closet already. So that's not really going to, necessarily hinder anything or make him feel some type of way if he doesn't win this award. But he's sure as hell going to pursue it. He's going to play to the best of his ability so far this year because Golden State is playing really well when Draymond is on the floor. Think about the numbers that we looked at with Stephen Curry just a little bit ago on the offensive end of the floor. They're basically identical when Draymond Green's on the floor. And to be fair, Draymond and Steph share the floor a lot of the time together. But, man, I talked at length about how important Stephen Curry is to this offense. Draymond Green is equally as important. And shout out to Draymond also for smacking his threes so far this year. He's shooting the three ball at an incredibly efficient clip. Couldn't ask for more from Draymond from that regard. I mean, he's shooting like 3 of them a game, like decent enough volume, and he's hitting them at a very, very high clip. I am so proud of what Draymond has been able to do this year. 123.7, excuse that second three, it's a typo, whatever, it happens late in the video, it's a Friday, one typo, whatever, my bad. 123.7, 114 with him off the court, an 8.8 differential. This Golden State Warriors offense is absolutely different when Draymond Green is out on the floor. And yeah, maybe it's because Stephen Curry's also out on the floor with him, but Draymond's constantly moving the ball. He's hitting threes when he's asked to. He is bringing the ball off the floor, pushing the pace for Golden State. He makes things happen as well on the offensive end, and that cannot be understated, relative to his defensive performance as well, which has just been on fire. And that's why I'm telling you guys, show some love to Draymond Green down in the comment section. Type your 23s. I know we don't give Draymond enough love for his antics and everything that goes along with Draymond Green, but man, he cannot be understated as to how important he is to this Golden State Warriors roster. So type those 23s down below. Show Draymond some love. Before we wrap up today's show, I just want to give everybody a quick update as there is no update on the Anthony Melton injury heading into this game against Memphis. Obviously, he will not play in this one. Further testing needs to come along and decide whether or not this is a grade 1 or grade 2 ACL sprain. If it's a grade 1, he's going to be out about 2 to 4 weeks. So we're looking for that to be the bright side here. If it's a grade 2, that means there is structural damage, and he will be out likely to 4 to 12 weeks. So it could be up to 3 months missing Anthony Melton. I'm going to keep you guys updated with that on my Twitter. So make sure you guys give me a follow over there at Smitty, at CS, SMITTY, at ATCS on Twitter /X, whatever you guys want to call it. So I'll be giving you guys the Warriors news there before I even bring you a video. So give me a follow down there. And as always, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. If you're not on Twitter, even if you are on Twitter, make sure you are subscribed. We're bringing you Golden State Warriors content like nobody else all season long. So keep us locked in as your #1 source of Warriors content. We'll see you in the next one. Let's go Dubs.